Hello and welcome to another episode of the podcast. I think we're on episode 117 now. I am filming this quite early in the morning. I've got an appointment in a minute, so I'm in a bit of a hurry. And I have got 2 days till I go on holiday, today and tomorrow, and then we go on holiday. Today's episode, I'm going to share what I've been working on since the last episode, mostly crochet. I've got some new purchases that arrived yesterday, and I'm trying to decide what knitting to take on holiday with me. I've decided on some things, but for my main project, I'm looking at two things behind the camera and I can't decide which one to take. I think I'm nearly decided, but I'm still slightly unsure. If you're new here, my name is Anniken. I design knitting patterns. I teach knitting workshops online and in person, and I sell yarn through my website, YarnAddict.co.uk. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed there, please consider subscribing. So my website is actually closed now while I'm away. It reopens on the 25th of June. So you can go and check that out for the 25th of June. Make sure you sign up to my newsletter so you don't miss any special offers and any news. I do have a special offer on at the moment on patterns. My pattern shops will stay open while I'm away. Ravelry and Payhib is where most of my patterns are sold, and you can now get 30% off all my patterns and ebooks and pattern collections until the end of June 2024. And you don't need any code, it's all deducted automatically, so you can just go to Ravelry or Payhib, add the items you want to your cart, and the discount will come off automatically. So that's 30% off with no code. And this is why you should sign up to my newsletter, because when I recorded last week's episode, I didn't know that I was going to do this offer. I was thinking about it, but I kind of forgot about it when I recorded the episode. But it went out in last week's newsletter. So if you signed up to my newsletter, you would have known last Thursday. But if you haven't signed up to the newsletter, you had to wait an extra week to find out. So do sign up to my newsletter if you haven't already. The link is below this video, as well as all my social media links and everything else. Let's talk about what I've been working on first. I am keeping an eye on the time because I do have an appointment I've got to go in half an hour. So I've got to keep this short and sweet. I'm just unpacking this little tote bag, which is what I'm going to take as my main project bag, I think, for this trip. So I've just put all the stuff that I want to take with me, knitting type stuff, in there to bring it upstairs so I could film this. Last week I shared I was working on a bag for my holiday, a crochet bag, and I made a lot more progress on that bag now. So let me show you what it looks like. So that is one side of it. It's kind of like a heart-shaped bag, I guess. And then the straps, shoulder straps, going to come up from here. And I'm thinking about if I can find a button that goes with it to have like a flap over here, or like a strap that I can button down. And then on the other side it looks like this. So I am attaching everything as I go. I'm planning, I have a square at the bottom here. I've left some of the ends in place to use them for sewing up. So I've got this square at the bottom, which is like the bottom of like the V, and I'm hoping that will kind of go from the front and back to be like the bottom of the bag, so that the bottom doesn't come down to a V. It kind of curves around a bit more. So I'm trying to see if that will work. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hang on. 9, 10, 11, 12 squares left to do. I have been working on this as much as I can for the last few days. I'm obviously filming this earlier because I'm going on holiday on the day I normally film, so I'm filming this earlier, so it hasn't been more than 4 days maybe since I filmed the last podcast, so it hasn't been a lot of time. And I've also been working on a couple of design submissions. So I had 2 deadlines last week, 1 deadline this week for magazine design, so samples that I had to finish off and send off to magazines and write the patterns and everything. My sample knitters knitted 2 of those samples, and I knitted 1, which was last week's. And so this week I've had 1 sweater to finish, which I had to do all like the finishing stuff on. And I had to make an alteration because I'd made a mistake in the pattern, so I had to make an alteration, which took me a few hours. So I've had all that to do this week. Plus I've also had 2 magazines that need for design submissions. So magazines will send out a call for designs and I will come up with ideas, sketch it, knit swatches, put it all together. And obviously the knitting swatches does take a bit of time. So I've done 1 issue for 1 magazine, which I haven't finished yet. I got 1 more swatch to knit and then send off hopefully this afternoon or first thing tomorrow. And then I've got these deadlines are all for next week, but I'm away, so I'm doing it early. And then I got another magazine, and I think they're asking for designs for 3 or 4 issues. I can't remember. I think that's nearly done and ready to go. I need to just check it later and see if I have any more ideas I want to swatch up. So it does take quite a lot of time. All I really want to work on at the moment is this bag, because I really want to finish it before I go. Each square takes me about half an hour to knit it and weave in the ends. And I had 12 left, so how much time is that? 12 times half an hour. 6 hours? Yeah, I probably didn't need the calculator for that. I could probably have done that in my head. I thought about it. So 6 hours of crochet time. So yeah, I should be able to do that. And then I got to do the strap. I don't know if I'll be able to finish the strap before I go, but I can do that on the train and on the at airport and plane and everything. We are getting the train to Exeter Airport. No, we're getting the train to Exeter, bus to Exeter Airport, flying to Spain, and then we're getting the bus into Alicante and a tram to Villarreal, where we're staying. So I got loads of travel time when we're traveling, and where I can work on stuff. So I'm really pleased with how this is working out. I am wondering whether I should have, instead of having this pointing out here, I might alter that so it comes kind of up a bit more. I feel like it's a little bit too pointy here, so I might take out one of these. It's got purple on each side. When I say purple, I mean the first and the last. The first and the last round is the same on all of them, and then the other colours vary. So when I say it's a purple square, it's because the first and the last round is purple. I might take one out and make this one kind of fold around like that, because I think that will look a bit better rather than have this pointy out shape. So there are a couple of alterations like that I will probably make. So like the equivalent on the other side would be that square would kind of half front, half back, if you like. I'm not going to line it. I was worried it would be too open, but it's not that open. And if I need to put any small items in there, I will put them in a pouch. I have loads and loads of pouches. So any small items like lip balm, lipsticks, earbuds, keys, anything like that, I will just put in a pouch and put it in there. So I'm going to take that on holiday with me. I think that'd be quite a fun thing to take if we're going out for the day, or if I need to take something a bit more than just my little crossbody bag. I'm taking a crossbody bag that I can fit all my essentials into, and the knitting, which I'll show you in a minute, my out and about knitting, I can clip to my crossbody bag, but I don't have room for like a water bottle in there and things. So Simon is taking a backpack, so he can kind of carry my water bottle if we're going out for a long time. But I was thinking it'd be nice to take this with me, just so I can throw like my knitting and my water bottle and some extras and sunglasses and things in there. And crochet is really fun at the moment, and I love these colours. So I'm using Yarn Merino Cotton for this. Talk about the next thing I'm taking. So I cast on when we were in Wales 2 weeks ago. Yeah, exactly 2 weeks ago today, I think. I cast on for a pair of socks in Rico Neon. Rico Socks Neon is what the yarn is called. I'm also knitting pink socks in this. Pink socks, I'm halfway through the second sock, or over halfway through the second sock. I'm not going to take that with me. If I finish a crochet bag, I will work on the sock, but I don't think that's going to happen. This is the first sock, and I am on the top of the leg. I'm going to take this with me because there's still quite a bit of knitting to do on this one. So I should be able to finish this one. This will mostly be travel knitting if we go out and about, because we're not hiring a car. So Villarreal, it's on the coast just south of Benidorm, between Benidorm and Alicante. It's closer to Benidorm. And there is a tram that runs from Alicante to Benidorm. And then there's another tram that runs from Benidorm to Calpe. So if you want to go to any other coastal towns and villages between Alicante and Calpe, we can get the tram. And then we might also use the bus a bit if we need to get into like Benidorm and stuff. So there should be quite a bit of tram and bus knitting. I think we are, I think, like 150 minutes walk from the beach apparently, but I probably mostly knit this on the beach, I think. So that is the socks I'm taking with me. I'm also taking yarn for another pair of socks. So when we go to the beach, I tend to do quite a lot of knitting. So I think I will probably get those socks finished fairly quickly. And then I thought I need to take another sock yarn just because otherwise I'll run out of knitting. And the main project I'm taking, I can probably work on that on the beach for the first few days maybe, but once it starts to get bigger it will be a bit uncomfortable to work on the beach. I don't like knitting on anything on the beach that's kind of going to be sitting in my lap. And socks are easy because they don't rest in your lap because they're small, and if they get full of sand I can wash them easily. So the second sock yarn I decided to take with me is this yarn. So this has been been threatening to become socks for a few months now. If you remember last winter, spring, yeah, winter, I think I finished in March, before I went to Norway in March, I knitted a cardigan in Pixie Yarns, a kind of variety of mini skeins and a couple of full-size skeins, and this was one of the ones that I started knitting with and then ripped out, which is why it's been wound. And I thought, well, I'll do socks with that because it's really pretty colours. So I'm going to, because that's already wound and ready to go, I'm going to take that and knit socks with that. So I'm going to finish the purple ones from Rico first and then cast on for these. So that will be my main out and about and beach type knitting while we're on holiday. But I also need a main project to take with me, and that's been difficult to decide. For a while now I've been thinking I would take my Truly Hooked advent calendar mini skein set with me. Not all of it, because this is 24 20-gram mini skeins, which is 480 grams. Yeah, I think so. I think my maths is correct. Yeah, which is too much. I'm not going to knit that. When I went to Norway, I went for 13 days and I knitted I did a one skein shawl. The reason I'm looking is because it's still lying here after last week's podcast. One skein sort of sock yarn shawl in less than a week, like 6 days maybe, 5 or 6 days. This time we're going for 18 days, I think. So I still don't think I would get all that knitted up. Plus that's quite a lot to fit in my suitcase. That's like 3 or 4 t-shirts probably, or a couple of dresses. So I was thinking, do I take half of it with me? I think I know what I'm going to knit with it, but I haven't actually done any swatching or planning yet. So if I was going to do that, I would need to spend a few hours knitting a swatch, measuring my tension, writing up the pattern, making decisions on stitch patterns. I've kind of decided on the shape, but I haven't decided on the stitch pattern yet. So it's quite a lot of prep I need to do. So I've decided I'm not going to take this with me, even though I'm really desperate to start on it because the colours are gorgeous. So I'll probably make this the first project I start when I get back from Spain. One thing I didn't say at the beginning of the video, if you can hear bird noise and things, I've got the window open because I'm quite warm after working out, and my room is always quite warm in the summer months, even though it's not great weather today. It's a bit overcast, but my room is still quite warm. So I got the window open, so if you can hear any noise, I think it's mainly bird song, that's why. So the other thing I have been thinking about is I would like to knit, and I think I mentioned this maybe a couple of weeks ago, I would like to knit a new version of my Murano shawl. So my Murano shawl, inspired by the island of Murano in the Venetian lagoon in Venice. And I knitted that in a yarn called Navia Bomull, maybe. It's cotton wool, cotton wool, I think it's cotton wool. Anyway, it's very similar, it looks very similar, it feels very similar to the Yarnaddict organic trio, although it's not the same blend. This is organic merino, organic cotton and silk, and I knitted a sweater in that just before I went to Norway in May, which I took with me to Norway and didn't wear it at all because it was really hot the whole time I was there. So the original one I did in a lilac and green, and I actually do have a green that's very similar, and the lilac I knitted the original shawl in. It's very similar to the sweater I knitted before I went to Norway, but I've decided I'm going to knit it in these two, so pale grey and pale pink. I don't have a lot of colours in this. I have this colour, I have green, and this. That's the thing I say, because I think I used up all the lilac ones. I did get this out because I considered taking it to Norway with me and then decided against it because I would need 4 balls and I felt like that was going to take up quite a lot of space because I wasn't traveling with a lot of luggage to Norway. But I think I'm going to take it to Spain with me. Yes, it is a bit bulky, I think, but I think this is going to come with me. Yes, I'm pretty sure that's going to come with me. Till I've actually packed and left a house. I can change my mind. And then I'm using these beads. Luckily, it's only 1 bag of beads that's needed. The, what did I say the yarn was called? Navia. Yes, Navia. It's a yarn from the Faroe Islands. And the original distributor they used to get it from closed up their business. And I think they actually moved to the Faroe Islands. So that's why I stopped stocking it. This yarn is very similar. The Yarn Organic Trio is very similar, but it does have slightly fewer meters. So it doesn't have quite the same meterage as the Navia yarn, but it's not a lot of difference in it. And the way the shawl is knitted, you have some like garter stitch rows between each of the lace motifs, which are kind of for adding a bunch of stitches for the shaping. And I think if I cut out a couple of rows in each of those sections, I would probably be okay with slightly less yarn. So that's my plan. Then I would obviously update the pattern to reflect that. I was also considering knitting a sweater in those 2 boxes in Manos, Uruguay Marina. I find that most of the 4-ply sweaters I've knitted, even though they're fairly thin, they're still too warm for me in the summer unless we have a very chilly day. And I thought knitting a lace weight sweater in a lace weight yarn would be really nice because it would be much lighter. So I did fancy doing that. I could probably knit a sweater out of 2, maybe 3 of those skeins, 2.5 of those skeins. And I do have some really pretty colours. But again, I would need to swatch and I would need to write the pattern and it would take a bit more effort. So unless I end up having a lot of time tomorrow where I can knit a swatch and block it and write a pattern for my size only, I don't think I'm going to have time to do that. So I think my plan is at the moment is to go with the Murano shawl, but I am still considering maybe doing that instead. That would be better because it's less yarn. Because, hang on, let me just grab one. Because it's in a skein, it's a bit more squishable and you can squish into like smaller parts of my suitcase than these. These are kind of less squishable, I think. And I think 2, maybe a bit more would be fine for me. But I don't know which color to use. I think my favorite colors are the ones I've got now. It's this one, which is like a bluey lilac, but I don't think I got enough. And that one, which I only have 1 skein of. So I quite like that one as well. But it's probably a bit too much orange for me. And then there's that pink one there, pale pink, which I quite like. So I'm considering knitting a sweater in that. It would be really good for the summer, but I just don't think I'm going to have time to do all the stuff I would need to do before I go on holiday to make sure I could actually knit it on holiday. So I think I've decided against that, unfortunately. I also have the yarn for a sweater from Pixie Yarn, a purple yarn. It's all the way over at the other side of the room. I was considering that at some point, but again, I think it's going to be too big and too warm to knit that because I would knit it all in one piece. And it is going to be hot in Spain. And I think even the Murano shawl, when I get towards the end of it, would be quite warm to have it as kind of like a pile in my lap. I probably mainly knit on it in the evenings if we're relaxing in the apartment we're renting. We are renting an Airbnb apartment in the old town of Yehoisa, and it is the ground floor of an old house. So it's not an apartment as such, but it kind of is. But it's in a normal house. And we have a balcony with lovely views according to the photos on Airbnb, and it's actually owned by a Norwegian owner, which is quite interesting. So I think that's what I'm going to take with me a whole day. We'll probably mostly sit on the balcony in the evening. We don't go out to eat every evening, we don't go out every night, so I will quite often have a lot of time either in the afternoon in sort of siesta time when it's too hot to do anything, or in the evening if we're not going out to knit. So yeah, I am tempted by the Manos the Uruguay Marina yarn and to knit myself a sweater, but it's just whether I'll have time to write the pattern before I go. I don't know. we'll see. Okay, let's move on because I've got to go in 5 minutes. So yarn that arrived. I ordered this a couple of weeks ago, maybe. I think it was a dye to order. It is from the Discreet Unicorn. It was one of my new favorite indie dyers, and there is a new base. A lot of the indie dyes have with this neon nap. So it's absolutely gorgeous. You can see all those neons. So this is the natural undyed colour. It looks yellow. So I was talking yesterday, I was teaching at the Knitting Hotel. I've got a little bit of a clip from Dawlish to show you. I forgot to film while I was teaching because I was doing finishing techniques, and we were also doing a bit of continental knitting in the middle. It was quite full on and quite busy day, so I forgot to film anything. But I was chatting to Belinda, who owns the Knitting Hotel, and she had knitted a design with this, combining it with another yarn, and she'd shown it to some of her guests, I think like a week or two ago, and a lot of them didn't like the fact that the yellowness of this is kind of like a lemony yellow, beige yellow, I don't know, and a lot of people didn't like the yellowness of that. So she'd sent, because she'd ordered some from the wholesaler and sent it to, I think it maybe was the Discreet Unicorn, to get it dyed up in different shades. But I don't dislike it. I'm not sure that I would want to knit something with this on its own, but I think with the pink, I think that's quite nice. It is DK yarn. It is 85% superwash merino and 50% neon Donegal nep, 100 grams, 212 meters per skein. I have no idea what I'm going to knit with it. I have this in another color as well. I think this is the same colorway. Hang on. Yes, this is, I wound this because I was going to use it for a swatch the other day, and then I didn't. I was thinking about taking this to Spain with me and knitting socks with it, but I think it's too pretty. This is also from the Discreet Unicorn. This is the Silver Sparkle sock, and I don't, yeah, you can see it. There's some silver sparkles in there, and that's the same colorway as that, but it doesn't look the same because obviously this is dyed on a yellowish base, whereas the base yarn for this is a bit more off-white, I think. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I wasn't sure whether to get 4-ply or DK. In the end, I went for DK. I think it's going to be some kind of winter accessory, but exactly what it's going to be yet, I don't know. I was tempted to take it on holiday with me, but I thought no, it's going to be too small a project. I will knit it up too quickly, and it'll take up too much room in my suitcase. So it's staying home, and I will do something with it when I come back. Before we finish, I just wanted to mention that I'm teaching my Sweetheart's Lace Scarf. I'll put a picture up on the screen at Spinning Yarn in Bobby Tracy in Devon on the 4th of July. So you will learn all about lace knitting and specifically how to knit the Sweetheart shawl. But if you're new to lace, I will teach you everything you need to know about lace knitting to knit the scarf. And if you are already an experienced lace knitter, you will learn to knit the scarf and add beads to your knitting. And then next year in April, I am hosting a knitting retreat in Italy, in central Italy near Ancona. It's going to be great fun. It's a week long. It's staying at a restored palazzo in a hilltop village. It's really picturesque. Loads of time for knitting. I was going to base it around lace knitting, but if anyone wants me to do anything else as well, let me know. I can easily combine it and do other things as well. And there's going to be lovely local excursions to sample local crafts, explore local areas, and eat loads of local food and drink local wine, and plenty of time at the palazzo to knit and relax and chat and just enjoy lovely springtime in Italy. So if you're interested in that, I will put the link below this video. If you have any questions, you can message me and I will do my best to answer. Okay, that's it for today. I've got to run. I've got a pedicure, massage and some waxing to get done before my holiday, so I need to make a run for it. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. The Tuesday video this week, I think, was a video about why you should resist all the crochet items that are in the shops at the moment. There are loads and loads of crochet bags, crochet tops, loads and loads of crochet stuff in the shops. I recorded a video on why, even though some of it is labeled as crochet, it's not actually crochet. And if it is crochet, why you should think long and hard before you buy it. So that video is out on Tuesday, and I will link it at the end of this video and below. And this pattern for this will be out later in the summer. When I come back from holiday, I will get it written up and off to my tech editor and sort it out as soon as possible so I can get it out as soon as I can. My plan is to work on that when I come back from holiday, because I do want to turn this into a pattern. It's not a standard granny square. It starts with a round circle and then turns into a square. So it's 2 round circles and then 3 square circles, 3 square rounds. The last thing to mention before I go is that issue 169 of Knit Now magazine is in the shops in the UK now. I'll put the link to their website below. That is the cover. And I have a design in this cover, which I'm very excited about. So I don't have the print issue yet, but I do have a PDF. So I recorded a video on what that design looks like. And that is the picture. I'll put a picture on the screen as well, but that is my shawl. And I have a video coming out next week where I talk about that shawl and the yarn I used and a bit more about what's in the magazine. So that is in the shops in the UK now. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. And I will see you next time.